example of Airbnb. Sorry, we were talking about the example of Airbnb, right? So now let's take the same example. Finally, Airbnb decided to move to cloud. So now the point is they need to purchase a cloud license. Am I correct? After they identify the requirements and everything, the next thing is like they need to opt for a cloud. Maybe for example, in our context, they have chosen the AWS as their cloud for their workloads, right? 1 second, guys. So whenever they purchase the, so okay, they are kind of purchase the license of a cloud, right? So when they purchase the license of the cloud, initially they'll get a, I mean, maybe they'll reach out to AWS and they'll AWS will ask them to create a cloud account or a root account, and after that they'll purchase the number of licenses and whatever it is, right? So as part of that, let's go to our AWS here. 1 second. So here we are using the free trial account. Okay, it's pretty much similar as an enterprise account. So whenever they choose the uh, license, after that they'll create an user and password. The first pretty much user, the very first user is a root user. With this root user, I mean, maybe their organizations, the head or sales for, I mean, sales head or whoever it is, they will get this. They'll create this account. 1 second, sorry. And this is their AWS account look like. So in the AWS account, whatever the user, 1 second, let me go to users. So this user is called root user. Root user is like a super admin. Okay, so you will never ever give a super user access to anybody in the organization. It is kind of an break glass account. Okay, from down the line, in case if you want to give any to give an access to this cloud to any of your resources in the organization, that is where you need to create an users with a less privilege. But this super user or a root account, it will not be shared to anybody, and you should not use this root account for day in day out jobs. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So so now let's go back to this organizations. Okay, you purchased the license, you got a root account. Then based on your org requirements, you have, for example, you have two divisions in your company, for example. Okay, maybe one is like sales division, or one is like not sales, probably we can call it as one is HR division, and uh, and another one is like some development division or whatever it is, R&D division, for example. But as per your requirement, your HR division should have access to all the resources in the cloud, whereas your R&D division may not need access to all the resources. They may need to have an access to one or two resources or something like that, for example. Okay, maybe they may need only access to S3, or they don't need an access to S3, for example. So how can we divide, or how can we control these policies? Okay, that is something that we need to look into. So there is a concept called AWS called AWS organizations. So I mean, before that, let me go to another example. And another point is that so basically HR team will use their own resources in the cloud, and R&D division will use their own resources in the cloud. And individually, each team will get their own billing, right? Okay, so in the same context, in the organization, there may be hundreds of divisions or hundreds of OUs, organization units within the organization, right? So managing this each and every organization unit and billing each and every organization unit is little difficult. And on the contrary, in AWS also, when you go with a consolidated billing, you will get a lot of offers, in the sense like discounts and all the stuff. Instead of going with an individual billing, if you go ahead with an consolidated all the organizations unit billing, right, then you will get a lot of offers. So how can we solve this problem? These are the two problems, right? So in AWS, there is a concept of AWS organizations. Okay, it's a centralized control. Okay, so basically, in AWS organization, either you can manage the consolidated billing, and another one is like you can configure the policies, in the sense like that. Those are called service control policies. As I said, R&D division does not need S3, but whereas HR division need full access. So how can we control that? That is something that we can solve with the uh, AWS organization. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please stop me. Okay, as I said, like in your organization, you have multiple accounts or multiple groups, OUs, organization units. So you will have one management account. This account will consolidate all your billing, and this guy will take care of all these billing cycles and everything. Instead of individually, your organization units will, this master account or a root account will take care of that billing, right? So that is one concept. And another thing is principles. As I said, you have HR division and you have marketing division or R&D division. For example, your R&D division doesn't need an S3, but whereas your another account needs an S3. So with the help of AWS organization, you can write different service control policies and and restrict the access based on the requirement. So now let's go to our AWS console. Okay, if you go to here, these are all AWS services. So the first and foremost thing that we are talking about, this organizations, right? AWS organizations. Okay. So guys, did anybody created the free trial account in the AWS already or no?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead and create one. It will be very helpful for you guys. Yeah. Okay. So see, basically here, generally, when you search for AWS organization, here you will get a button to enable AWS organization. Okay. In my case, it is already enabled. It's a single click. Okay. Nothing much. Okay. So here, this account is your master account or management account or root account. Okay. Okay, let's say, like as I mentioned, in your organization, you have multiple accounts, like account A or account B. Okay. So in that context, what will happen? Maybe I will take one example. I don't know whether I have a user or not. Here you can either create a new AWS account for your requirement, or you can use an existing account. Okay. Here, if let's say, I don't know whether I have it or not, but let me try. Let's say like you already have another AWS account, for example. So then you can use so basically the prerequisite when you create an AWS account with that email address, there shouldn't be an AWS account in the past. If that is the case, then you won't get anything, right? So maybe you are inviting an existing account. So what will happen when you invite an existing account, you will get a mail to this mail address saying that, hey, maybe this AWS security guy is asking you to add to his organization or join your organization. So you will get that invitation. Okay, maybe if I say like send an invitation, I'm not sure whether I have that with me. Let me check. So once this has been added to this accounts, right? This organization, right? Then you can write the granular policies. I'll show you how to write that. But in the meanwhile, let me see if I got it. Okay, let me go here. That part is I don't remember the email addresses, passwords. Because I want to show you that, so then you can understand. One second, let me see if I can add that here itself directly. Hmm. Oh, good. I'm waiting for that 33 password. Hmm. So see, I got an AWS account invitation to my email address, right? Saying that if you accept this one, right? So then it will be added to your organization. Okay, let this first get accepted then. But unfortunately, I don't remember the password of that account. Good. Let's So no, if you look at here, right, this is the another account.
Hmm.
So I got an invitation from this guy. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
So now I need to accept the invitation. Let's say like if I accept the invitation, then I will be part of that organization. Okay. Don't confuse with this is a different account.
Hmm.
Okay. And 1 second, guys. There is another. One second. Okay, let's let me log into that account. It's got yeah. So this is another account, right? So this is the main master account that I have been using. So now if I go to my AWS organizations, if you look at here now in my root, I have a member called Rajesh Viranki. This is my management account and this is my member account, correct?
Yeah.
So this is what I kind of discussed here. This is your organization. One of them is your maybe your management account, and another one may be yours your member account. Okay, so now what I'm saying is let's take an example of this policies and services. So here there are various things. Let's concentrate on this. Sorry, not this services. Let's concentrate on this service control policies. Okay, okay. See, this is also I have enabled, but so basically here you just need to, if when you click, you need to enable it here. Okay, this is just it's a button. So if you go to service control principle, let me create a policy. So by default, okay, 1 second. Let me delete this policy. See, this is AWS managed policy, right? That means by default, this policy will come and it allows access to every operation. So if you don't have any policies, service control policies on your account, then it will automatically configured with this one. It's an AWS default managed policy. Now I am creating a service control policy for my member account, saying that I don't need an access to S3. Okay.
Okay.
So if you take an example, okay, this is okay. I'll give you a name like S3 deny policy, for example. Okay, just any name you can give. And here, what I want to do, see here you can select the service that you want to enable or disable, whatever it is. Okay, so here if you select this one, automatically this one added. Okay, now let me go down. I am adding a resource. Here if I adding a resource, what I'm adding, I am adding all the resources under S3 service. Okay, so if you look at this content, so these are the 3 main action items that you need to understand. See here, what is the effect? Effect is deny. And what is the action? Here you are saying in S3 bucket for all the thing, and what are the resources for all the resources. This is how I am writing a policy, right? So I am creating a policy. So first I am kind of created a policy. Now let me go to this policy. See, this is the policy. And this is called ARN number. ARN number is nothing but Azure resource number. Okay. Here, what is ARN is common. AWS is a cloud name. Organizations is nothing but the service that we are using. And this is something related to our ID. And here I am writing the service control policy, right? I mean, just how this has been described. I'm just giving you an overview. Okay. Now, this is my policy, right? Now, what is my target? Here, I need to select to which target I need to attach. So, I am trying to attach this to my member account, right? Which is Rajesh Viranki.
Okay.
Okay. So, I am attaching here. So, now let me check this has been attached. Okay, attached already done. Okay, now 1 second. Yes, service control policies. Go to S3. Go to deny. Okay, here. So target is already set to this account. Now I am going to that account. This is my account, right? Okay, let me refresh first. This one. I'm going to my AWS services. There is one service called S3 service. Okay, here if I click here, so if I create a bucket, okay, this means the policy is not enforced. So we need to check where is the problem. I am under AWS account. I am in this here. Okay. Here I have the policy, whether the policy is applied or not. So I need to select this policy and attach is done. Sorry, give me a second. Attached to Rajesh Viraki account. Okay. Mhm. 1 second. Service control policy. Hi. Sorry. Duplicate attachment exception. This means fail to attach policy to okay. That means it may take some time. Give me a minute. See, if you are getting an exception, right? You don't have permission to list the buckets, or you don't have create except you don't have an even if you create, right, you will get an error saying that you don't have an because you don't have an error because here we wrote a policy saying that for all the actions for whatever the actions, if you look at this deny policy, this is for all S3 activities, it is kind of blocked. Got it? Guys, did you follow me?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So this means you don't have a policy. So now let's go to, I mean, I'm going to try this one. Let's edit the policy. Instead of deny, I'll say allow. Okay. Allow S3 resources on, right? I'm in policies here. S3 policy. Actions attach policy. It has been already attached. I will get the duplicate thing. Yeah. Okay. Fine. It should. Now let's go to. It may take a little bit of time, but. I'm creating a bucket here. Create a bucket. This means I'm able to create a bucket, right?
Yeah.
Why I'm able to create a bucket? Because I changed the policy here.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yes.
This is how in the organizations, when you have multiple accounts, you can kind of create these kind of service control policies. So I gave an example for you on one service called S3. There may be thousands of services in the AWS. In the similar way, you can write the policies based on your organization requirement. For example, maybe in your organization, you get an use case saying that I don't need my users to access all the S3 related resources, just limit it to some of them. Then what you have to do is like you simply come over here and go to the policy here, or create a policy, or edit the existing policy. For example, if you take an example of S3 same service here, in the S3 here there are like lot of, all these are API calls end of the day, right? So maybe let's say like you want to only list access points, you want to only list the buckets, you don't want anything else. So obviously, automatically rule will be created something here, and you can tweak these rules based on your requirement. Make sense?
Yeah.
Let me delete this one. Yeah,
I
please,
have a
Prince.
question.
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
This is me just being a novice on the security things right here. So with the policies, right? Is the company giving you like the format to follow for the policies, or whenever you have an issue, they will tell you that you need to change this policy or that policy, and then you go into the system to make the changes, or like automatically you have to know that I have to go and then make the settings for the policy. I don't know if the question makes sense.
There are two edges to the knife that you're asking, right? If it is an altogether new requirement, then being a security engineer or an architect, you have to work with business and come up with the list of policies that what you want to establish for that specific organization and for those specific accounts. All right.
Okay.
If let's say like if policies have been enabled already in your organization, and you see some issue in one of the policy, that is where then you need to sit with your cloud administrator, and as a security engineer, you both has to do a troubleshooting. I'm not sure whether I have answered your question or not, but this is what I understand from your question.
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Rajesh, one question from my side. Here, Abdul.
Yeah, Abdul, please go ahead.
So suppose in our environment we have lots of users and policies which are already configured, and we need to make changes into those policies. Like it is hundreds of policies. So is there an automated way to do this, or do we have to manually do this, all the changes?
You can use cloud formation templates, or you can use Terraform for these policy creation and updation.
Okay, thank you.
That's more of an I mean, generally DevOps will do that.
Okay.
I mean, see, basically here there are two things, right? See, you can ask me a question, Rajesh, being a security architect or engineer, do I need to do all this stuff? I can say yes or no, because it depends upon your organization size and your organization requirements. In some organizations, what will happen is, let's say like you're running a startup where you don't have so many resources. In those situations, you may need to tackle that development part as well, in the sense like implementing the policies, troubleshooting, and all those stuff. Maybe in some organization you have well segregated departments for each and every task. In such situations, being an engineer and architect, you need to design and architect the solution, and you have to give that to other teams and they'll implement, and you need to review whether the implementation is correct or wrong. Make sense?
Yes, got it.
So this is about service control policies under organizations. So I can give you a small example. So far we kind of discussed about 1 or 2 member accounts, right? I mean, like 1 member account here. But there are some in some organization there may be hundreds of accounts, like here, right? In those hundreds of accounts, maybe there are the situations where you need to group them as an organization units, 10 as one organization unit, and each organization kind of like grouping. Maybe let's say like sales, HR, marketing, all these 3 guys have same requirement. Then you don't need to go and create each and every sales member account and attach the policies here, right? Instead of that, what you can do is like you can group all 3 together as an organization unit, and you can write a single policy for that group. Correct? Make sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah. So here I just mentioned for on an account basis, but there are the situations where you can group this to organization units as well. 1 second. See, this is the see here so far we have only created for account, but let's say like you have multiple accounts for your development of organization unit. You have multiple accounts, so you can create something like this. Okay. So if you say, look at this concept, okay. So basically organization has a root. So if you look at this diagram, this is the root. Okay, let me remove this one. See, this is your root. Under root, you have a management account or root account, and after that you have member accounts, or you have management organization unit and a member organization unit, for example, right? So if you look at here, this management account, which is nothing but this one, is just to create the policies at root level, organization unit level, or account level. And this is more of an kind of an super admin, right? This is all like, it will do a billing, it will do the policy creation and all those stuff. And policies can be applied at organization unit level or individual members unit level, right? Or if you have multiple organization units under single major unit, if you apply a policy at this organization unit, then obviously the nested organization units will also be enforced, in the sense like it's a top-down approach. Like in a hierarchy, if you apply a rule to your father, obviously son will also have the same rule, right? In the same context. I'm just giving a small example, right? You have an hierarchy, like your grandparents, parents, and you. Probably there are some customs or religious aspects or whatever it is. If it is applied to your grandfather, automatically it is applied to you guys as well, right? In the same context, service control principles also will be applied to the organization units and subsequent members. Either they may be a subsequent organization units or subsequent member accounts. So I mean, by looking at this seems to be a little confusing, but it's simple. Like if you apply a rule for the top level, automatically the sub levels also will be impacted with the same rule, right? This is about organization, AWS organizations, right? So basically, as I mentioned earlier, in AWS organization, by default, there is a policy called default policy called full AWS access. Guys, give me a minute. I need to take this call.
Okay.
ఇందాక కిందకి వెళ్ళా ఆ నాగరాజు గారు అన్నవాడు కింద ఒకటి ఉంది దాంతో సొల్లు చెప్తున్నాడు. నాగరాజు గారు అన్నవాడు కింద ఒకటి ఉంది దాంతో సొల్లు చెప్తున్నాడు అంటున్నా. ఇప్పుడు మనవాడు వెళ్ళాడు, ముగ్గురు కలిసి సొల్లు వేసుకుంటున్నారు. తర్వాత నేను వెళ్ళాను రాసుకుందాం అని చెప్పి మనవాడు సైడ్ అయిపోతున్నాడు. అలా ఉంది.
Sorry guys. So by default, this full AWS managed policy will be there. Okay. If there are no policies, this policy will be implemented or attached. But when you attach a new policy, obviously, see, basically in security, deny will effect first rather than allow, right? Default deny. Every time, if there is a deny rule and allow rule, the same rule, if you have a deny permission and allow permission, the first that will work is deny, right? In the same context, when you have multiple policies, the deny policy will take the precedence rather than allow policy. Make sense? Understand?
Yeah.
So this is about AWS organization. So let's go to our use case. So we solved our use cases. Now we need to create multiple users, groups, and etc. So far, as I mentioned, we have only a root user. Okay. Excuse me. Now we need to create multiple users and provide proper permission to that user, saying that, okay, this is the sales user. They need to have an access to only one resource or few resources. And this is a database user. Then they need to have an access to a specific database user or something. Database only. No, they should not have an access to anything else. Those kind of use cases that we need to design, right? So first of all, what we need to is like we need to create a user. Okay. I am creating a user. Okay. Maybe I can give this username is rviranki1. First of all, you need to understand whether this user will be used for what. This user will access the AWS console, or this user will be used for programmatic access. In the sense, they don't need to access to UI, but they have to connect to one of the service over the API or over the software development kit or from the command line and connect to this AWS service and do some operations. Which kind of user it is? For example, first you need to define or understand that one. For example, in my case, this is the same AWS management console user. Okay, so provide user access to the AWS management console. Okay.
శ్యాము సవర్ల 5 సవర్లు అంటే ఎంత బంగారం వస్తుంది?
Bhaiya, please be on mute in case if you guys are not working. Sorry. Okay, let me make them mute. Okay, give me. Sorry about that. Okay, so so basically IAM automatically it is routing to IAM identity center, which is kind of a single sign-on. So it's automatically connect to an existing directory in the backend and it will create a user. Okay, let me enable this one. I'll explain this in the further classes, but just I want to these classes are for identity and access management. Let me enable this one and then we can. So, let me go back to in here also we can create, but let me come over here. See, basically in UI or in management console access, you will have a username and password. Whereas in the programmatic access, which is in kind of an API access, where you have a secret key and access key. Just to give you a difference between both of them. Okay, this will take you to manage the identity center. Okay, we may need to create a user here. Let's see. Send an email to this user with password setup mention. Generate one-time password that you can share with this user. Okay, I'll generate a password. So basically, this is the method whenever a new user comes to your organization, and we need to give an access to to that person as part of his job roles. We need to provide all these details. We need to get all these details from that specific person, and we'll give them the access, right? For here, all these are like option. Let's go to next. Let me make a note of this one in here. So this guy is kind of created. Now let's go to incognito browser and try to access this URL. Oh, sorry, guys. So if you look at here, this is my user and this is the temporary password. So if you look at here, right, you are logged into this account, but you don't have any access or any resources to access in this account, right? Why? because if you look at the this one, you have access to all the services, right? All the services are there, right? But here you don't have access to any of the resources. Why? Any guesses? I'll make you guys unmute so that we can kind of
Okay.
give me a minute. I'll unmute. I'll try to unmute you guys. I don't know where to unmute. This is something that we need to discuss. Hold on. Things. Where can I unmute everyone? Ask call to unmute. Okay, 1 second. I don't know. All right. So any guesses, guys? Why we don't have an access to? Why don't we don't have an access to any of the resource? Why we are not seeing any of the resources here? Any guesses? You can speak out. Not an issue.
Is it because they've not given any access to any of the applications?
And what else? Yeah, you are right, Princey, because right now we only created an authentication, right? So
Right.
when you create a new user, or when you create an authentication, when you create an identity with an authentication, that means you are just creating a user. You are not giving any of the access to that user. That means when you log in initially, you don't have an access to any of the resources. That is called least privilege, right? This is the
Right.
fundamental called least privilege. Now you need to be part of. You need to. I mean, now as an admin, I need to understand your roles, right? Whether Prince belongs to which department. He's a DevOps guy, or he's a cloud engineer, or he's an administrator. So based on that, then I have to give the necessary access and permission to you, saying that okay, Prince or Sukrit is from admin background, so they need to have full access, and Abdul is only belongs to the database team or our file storage team. He should have only access to S3 buckets. He should not have an access to any other resources, right? So based on that requirement, I'll create a group saying that admin group, database admin group, database monitoring group, blah, blah, blah. And I'll create necessary access permissions to, I'll create a policy and attach a policy to that specific group or an individual user, saying that this group or this user is belongs to this his daily day in day out jobs are this. So based on that, he needs these kind of accesses. So that is called access management, right? So so far we did an authentication. We haven't enabled or created any access to this person, right?
Right.
I mean, probably most of you guys may know this stuff, but these are like pretty important basics that everybody should know. So
Yeah.
that's the reason I'm just stressing upon. So now let's go to IAM again. It is going to another. Okay. Right, that's fine. So if you look at here, these are the various things, and you can, if you want, you can create a group and make sure that this user part of this group. Okay. If you look at here, These are the details about the user, when it is created, whether it is created manual or not, and all those stuff. And now
You
if
can
you
do
go, yeah,
you
please.
can do automatic creation of users, right?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
So now we need to so go to policies. So if you look at here, I was discussing, right, permissions or policies. So for example, if I want to use the full permissions access, or if I want to give a specific access, I mean, so far I haven't given any access to my user, right? So far it is only in authentication stage. Now we need to create an access. We need to create an access and assign access to that specific entity or identity. That is where we have to either use inbuilt policies, or we can create our own custom policy here. Okay, 1 second. Here you can write some custom policies. Either you can select whatever the permissions that you want, and you can create your own custom policies based on your requirement. But first of all, let's go to our one of the policy here. Probably let me take an example of read only access. It is taken. It is loading a little slow. So if you look at here, there are around 386 AWS services. So it is kind of creating it is this read-only permission is there for all these services. Now we need to enable or assign an entity. Let's go to our IAM user. Attach a policy. Let's see. Give me a minute. Policy not attached to any entity here. So here I can see my IAM users. Okay, so one of the IAM users that I have created. Okay, let me go back. Let me go here. So basically here you only access, let's take this as an example. So now I'm not getting the user here. Give me a minute, I'm checking. This is fine. Let's see here. Here I should maybe I think this guy has changed the UI. Hmm. Let's see, okay. Which one is- check. Yeah, sorry. So here, when I create a user, I can directly give an access. So for example, if I say S3 full access to this user, this is, if you look at here, this is not an UI access when you create a user. So console access is disabled. So this means for this user, you can either use the CLI or you can use some local code or some third-party service or an application or any other method that you have to use. So let's say like if I try to plan to use this access key to enable AWS CLI to access your AWS account, I understand. So we need to download AWS CLI and all the stuff. So these are the access key and secret key. So let's download this one. Download it. Done. So now we have created. Okay, fine. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I am sorry. So now I am going to enable console access to this user. Console access. custom password. So now I created a user and enabled access user UI access to this user. Now let's log into this user. Console.amazon.com. Let's see. Excuse me. One second, guys. Right. This is the console link.
Okay.
It is taking a little bit of time. That's fine. So, okay. If you look at here, every user is getting his own console sign-in link as well. And okay. So we are going to so if you look at here, there are lots of services, but you don't have an access to any of these services. You may have only access to this S3. The reason for that is because here we enabled a permission. Let's go to the permissions. So we have only given the S3 full access. So that's the reason this guy is having access to create an S3 bucket and etc. But if you go to VPC or something with the help of this guy, okay, let's go to VPC, another service. And if you try to do an EC2 instance creation or something, you can't do it because it's only relevant to S3. This permission is only for S3 full access. So that means that is only for that service, not for other services. So let's say like if you try to create a VPC, see fail to perform operation, not to perform this operation, right?
Yeah.
So this is about access. So here, so far we were discussing about access through UI, okay? But in the organizations, most of the times, people will use this S3 service, this AWS services as part of their programmatic access, right? Let's take an example that you guys might have heard about the tool called Postman, right? It's a client, Postman, Burp Suite, something like that sort, right? So you want to have an access to, you want to connect to this AWS and access to a specific service. So how can you connect, right? That is where the programmatic access credentials that has been access that has been given by here, right? You can use that secret key and access key as in your username and password, and with your tool or with your client, desktop client, whatever it is, you can connect and you can access those resources. I'll give you another best example for this. Maybe you are writing a code, okay? In the code, you may need to mention that, hey, this is my S3 bucket that my program has to connect and fetch the files from the S3 bucket, for example. Then from your code, what you have to do first, you need to authenticate to AWS. right?
Yes.
That's where this secret key and access key will help. And once you authenticate, whether you have an access to S3 or EC2 or X or Y or Z, that is where you have to define the permission, right? Which is nothing but your access. So what you have to do, you have to create a user with no UI access, only programmatic access. Then you will get the user, you will get an access key and secret key. And you need to assign a permission to that user saying that, okay, Princey should only have a programmatic access to Amazon, and he should only access a specific resource, a specific service in the cloud. He should not have an access to any other resources, not more, not less, like kind of a least privilege. So that's how you will create a permission out of it, and then you can connect from your code or your application to that specific S3 bucket or a database, whatever it is, and do your operations. That is where the identity and access management will work.
Rajesh,
Oh.
I have a question, quick
Right.
one. So we spoke about two things, right? Number one is assigning policies and access to a specific user. Number two was when we were discussing AWS organizations, we spoke about control policy, service control policies. So if I assign S3 full access through service console policy, no, okay. So through the policy,
I understand. You are mixing here two things.
yeah.
This, whatever we are discussing here, belongs to identities or users. Okay. The very first AWS organizations belongs to accounts and organization based. Even you have given S3 full access here, but your belongs to that specific account where you don't have an access to S3 service itself with the help of SCP.
So
Then you
that will supersede, right?
Yeah, that will proceed and you won't get an access.
Got it.
That's
So
an
that is
level policy, right?
okay. So that is for the account. So the account cannot access a specific service. This is for user. A user cannot access a
Right.
specific service. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Got it.
That's why that is called service control policy.
Policies. Yeah.
This is identity and access management.
Got it.
Identity is nothing but your user or your group or your service principal, in the sense like from like an API access, right? One service will talk to another service
Got
with the
it.
help of API. So in
Got
that context, this identity and access management will work. But whereas that service control principle belongs to an organization. In your organization, you have multiple OUs, and one OU needs full access, another OU needs all access to all the services, only limited to specific services. That's where that SCP will work. And as you said, if that SCP doesn't have an access to any of the resource, but this identity have an access to the resource, then that will proceed and it won't let you log in to that specific service.
Got it.
Any other questions, guys?
No, that's from my side.
So let's try to see if we can, I don't know, AWS CLI I need to download or not. Generally, if it is Azure, right? Okay, this guy is also giving, okay, very good text. Then we are good. Cool. Yep, there is an S3 console. Is 1 second at this. So this is the cloud inbuilt cloud shell that is offered, that's generally being offered by AWS. So here also you can access some of the resources and stuff. You can connect and you can connect and you can play with it actually. Okay. Okay, let me check some comments. I don't recollect on top of my mind. Maybe we can leverage this.
Yeah, we can see some list commands, so show all
Yeah.
buckets and all
Yeah.
that. Mm,
Let's see. Okay, now, okay, that's fine. So, okay. Let's see if that command will work or not. Okay. AWS S3 LS. So it is working. So
Yeah.
I'll create a bucket here so that we can. One second. AWS help. There is a little difference. Okay. So AWS Synopsys AWS command AWS help topics will work with AWS. Here you can use different stuff. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's go back, come over here and go to S3, create a bucket. So we need to create a bucket as another user, not this user. Okay. So this user, we need to create a bucket because we have the full access to here, right? For the S3 bucket.
Yeah.
See this, yeah, this is one important topic, guys. Block public access setting for this bucket. So earlier, this one is not there in AWS. These guys recently come up with this one. Earlier, whenever we create a bucket, it will automatically give an access to the entire internet, right? So now these guys, I mean, as part of the security recommendation, these guys come up with this one and they are disabling the public access to bucket. But if in your organization, maybe due to whatever the reasons, if you want to access your bucket from public, you need to turn off these things, but that's not a security good practice. Okay. And this is called bucket versioning in the sense, like, let's say like you created a file or you uploaded a file into bucket and you deleted the file, for example, then you don't have a copy. But if you have a bucket version enabled, if you have a file and if you upload at the same file, then you will have version 1 and version 2. That is called bucket versioning. So generally, even you can encrypt the files in the bucket within your S3 bucket. S3 bucket is nothing but a file storage. Okay. You can encrypt either with server side or you can come up with your own self-service server side encryption with key management. AWS KMS you can use. This is the server side encryption. That means you don't need to involve here. AWS itself will take care of it in the backend. Here it is server side encryption with your own key management. then you need to create a key and you need to assign the key to your bucket, saying that whenever a file comes to my bucket, use those keys for encryption. Okay, that is something that is here. Okay, okay, let's create a bucket here. I'm going to upload one file to bucket. It's getting uploaded. Now let's connect to this terminal. See, unable to start this environment, you don't have required permission. Ask your IAM administrator to access to AWS Cloud Shell. Got it? Even Cloud Shell is a service. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a good use case at least. We can kind of find something out here. So okay, now I am here. I am going to my IAM. Let me go over here. So I'll go to my users and I'll go to this user and I'll add another permission, another set of permission, add permission, attach policies directly here, Cloud Shell. Okay, I'm enabling this one. Okay. So let's go back. Refresh. So now AWS S3 LS. So
Yeah.
I have bucket list. Maybe if we need to get into the bucket, there may be some other comments. Let's not get into this. But so this is how you need to carefully look at the each user and see what are the permissions that they need as part of their business, and accordingly you need to provide an access. So in most of the companies, based on my experience, you have a separate identity and access management team apart from the cloud security. Okay, I mean,
Yes.
in last two to three companies wherever I was working, they have a separate identity and access management and Active Directory team who will take care of all this, who will manage all this stuff. But being a security architect and security engineer, we should know all these things, all these fundamentals, because whenever there is a security review that you need to do as part of your business, as part of your job roles, you need to ask all these questions, right? And recently we have this exercise done in our organization, because in our company what happened is that we have cloud, our company started this cloud adoption since last 4 or 5 years. Okay, in this last 4 or 5 years, a lot of people joined and a lot of people left the company. So there are a lot of users and service principles have been created, and in these 4 years of journey, Rajesh might have become technical lead to AVP. Somebody else might have become engineer to architect, something like that, right? Obviously, once your role is upgraded or downgraded, based on that, your access to this cloud is also need to be taken care of. Am I right? So what we understand is like that is not happening in our company. And then what we have done is like with the help of some third party tool, we did an analysis on that how many users are there in the organization, be it users, groups, service principals. Out of those users, how many of them are not being accessed? How many of the users are not being actively participated or accessed since
Yeah.
last 180 days? We did that exercise. Then, I mean, I don't know whether I can review this number or not. There are around 10,000 users or 10,000 service principals are not being accessed since last 6 months.
Oh my God.
That
10,000.
means that, yeah, that means, I mean, 10 users in the sense they may be a programmatic access users or whatever it is, right? So then we have taken all those, and we also identified out of them how many of them are like overly permissive. So we started trimming down there. I mean, we started purging them. I mean, because we reached out to those app teams and saying that, hey guys, these are the unused identities and privileges that you have in your collection or in your group. What do you want to do? So there are the dialogues that what we heard that they don't even know who are they. because in a big organization you have contractors, you have a lot of teams come in and go, right? So then we took the initiation of disabling all of them. Slowly we started disabling, and there were the situations people awake on the last minute and say that I need this access. Then in the last minute we kind of had a discussion. Why do you need? Give me the RACI saying that do you really need these many permissions? So we kind of had some debates, discussions, and then we bring down their access, some of their access from overly permissive to least privileged as well. So these kind of exercises do happen in the organization regularly. So so to precise, we need to know what is what service is what, and at least you can open a dialogue and you can start conversing with them when you have a discussion, and you don't be blank in front of them, right? So that's the something that I want to.
This is part of logical access review that happens every quarter. Not
Right.
quarter. Depends on from company to company.
Yeah. Yeah, even our laptops also every 90 days they force us to update our LAN passwords, right? So I don't know whether it is there in your organizations or not, but in our organization,
It is everywhere.
It is
It's
everywhere.
I mean, they're kind enough to give you some grace period where they keep reminding you only
Yes,
6
yes.
days left, only 5 days left.
yeah.
But yeah, it is enforced.
But being a security engineer, we violate that. We don't even reset the password until last minute, right? So, yeah, I think that is for today, guys. I hope this session helps.
It does.
Yeah, we'll discuss further.
Rajesh,
Yeah,
one
Abdul.
question. I mean, is this the only batch you are running, or is
Right now I don't have any batches, Abdul.
okay?
Do you have any? I mean, what exactly the question that you want to put forward?
Actually, regarding the timing, because I am in the shift. Actually, my shift is from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. and I have some calls also at this time. Not all day, but so
yeah,
I mean,
basically
I had to rely on.
initially the plan was to start from 6 to 7 in the evening. Okay, 6 p.m. IST to 7 p.m. IST. But I think Ishwar got some requests from some other people saying that they can't make it from 6 to 7. That's where we moved this to. I mean, we'll do one thing, maybe on and on. Probably, if you can make it, you can join these. Otherwise, I know it
Yeah,
is not,
yes,
you will
yes.
be not
Already
so
I think
happy if you look
recordings.
at the recordings.
Yeah, because just seeing the recording is not a great idea. I
Uh,
mean, you can't interact with
yeah.
the person live. So, okay, I think
Or
I'm not
else you
busy
can
on
do
all
one thing.
days, but
Yeah, yeah. We'll do one thing. Say, probably if you are not busy on those days, you can join, and whenever you
yeah.
have some tighter schedules or something, then uh,
Mm-hmm.
go through the recordings, and you can ping me or the group or something if you have any questions, or you can call me or WhatsApp or something.
Mm-hmm.
If I'll be available, I can take the call and I can spend 10-15 minutes for you, and we can discuss in case if you have any questions. Okay. At least
Yeah,
that is something
okay.
that I can do for now.
Yes, yes, yes.
We'll see in case in future if there are any other batches will start. So then we can
Mm-hmm.
try to pitch you and chip you in those batches.
Hey
Yeah,
Rajesh,
okay,
with
no
that,
problem.
Yeah.
from that I have this question. Once you move to the US,
Mm.
what is going to happen then?
No,
Because
you will.
because
This is
8 o'clock
I'll,
IST is what?
I'll be
Very, very
I'll be
early
in
morning US.
I'll be in East. I'll be in East Coast only. So
Okay,
not an issue. Not an issue.
okay, okay.
And this has been discussed earlier. So I don't have any issues. So early morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a. I mean, I'm an early morning person only, so it's not an issue. So it's
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, right. All right, guys.
All right.
Uh,
Okay, yeah.
From,
Thank you. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you very
thanks,
much.
Rajesh,
thanks.
I have a quick question. So
Yeah, please,
should
please.
we have to know coding for security?
Not 100%, but scripting is a plus. And if you know Python, that's a very good plus.
That's like plus plus.
Plus,
Yeah.
plus.
Apple Pro 14 plus something.
I mean, especially, say, basically, you should know at least to read the codes like JSON files, all those
Mm-hmm.
stuff. First of all, see, basically, if you even today, when we write the policy, it's a JSON file, right? When I write a policy in service control policy or this S3,
Right,
those are
right.
pretty
Mm-hmm.
much JSON. So at least you need to understand the basics of JSON, how you read and how you make some small modifications in case if there is a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be a proficient coder, but at least it would be good if you have a little bit hands-on towards either shell script or Python, and a little bit basics of JSON files understanding. Um, Princey,
Mm-hmm.
because this is my experience, right? See, basically these days I'm doing the DevSecOps in the sense like security in the pipelines by using some vulnerability management tool.
Yeah.
We'll get
Mm-hmm.
we'll do a lot of vulnerabilities and everything in a JSON format. At least with the help of Python, some Python libraries or something, you may need to convert the files from JSON to CSV or some small use cases. You may need to play with it. All
Right.
right. So you don't need to be a pro, but at least it would be good if you know the basics and you can play with it with the help of Google searching and stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
more than that, Prince, you know what? Don't I mean, this is completely from me to you. So don't restrict yourself, because I get it that you are new to this. Don't restrict yourself from learning just because you don't know programming. A lot of people don't know programming out there, but they still work.
Yeah.
So don't get dejected. I don't know programming. A lot of people here would not know programming.
Even
But
I'm not a
Yeah,
proficient
even
in programming, right?
I'm
yeah, programming is, you got programmers to make programs.
yeah.
But yeah, Rajesh is right. JSON, YAML, these are
Yeah.
these are markup languages. These are important. All the transactions that really happen in the cloud world, they happen through JSON or YAML, and they are not programming, they are not scripting, they're just key value pairs. Name,
Yeah.
age, your age, date of birth, your date of birth. They just values. Those will help you. I mean, don't get scared out of programming. You
And
really,
think
you really
and just leave that thing in the mind that
yeah,
coding
yeah.
is a prerequisite for the learning this. Okay, that's not
Everyone
at all a
thinks
prerequisite. Yeah.
everyone thinks like that. I need to know programming. No one knows programming. And people, those who know programming, you shut down Google for 10 days, programmers will be gone.
Yeah.
True.
And
Last,
what
last,
about
last.
regex, Rajesh? Then?
Regex is not that much needed. Yeah, see, basically,
Mm.
regex will be needed if you work in data security, or
Parsing,
if
yeah.
you are in SOC where you need to parse entire
Yeah.
logger and
Mhm.
get certain values.
Yeah,
That's
SOC is-
all that you need in SOC, or that you need in some data security for PCI transactions and all those stuff.
Mhm.
That is not needed. And I'll tell you one thing. I have 12 years of experience, right? In the beginning of my career, most of them is like manual intervention, be it a programming, writing small scripts and
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah.
Nowadays, most of the vendor products, it's like UI based. You just drag and drop, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
most of the times you don't even need to interact, and you don't even need to do a lot of coding. Most of the
Yes.
times it's in UI based and interactive based and graph query based. It's you don't need to be pro into all those, but there is nothing wrong in learning. I mean, knowing all of them, at least basics, right? Like Helm chart, AML, as Sukrit mentioned, AML, JSON. These are the few things that Docker files, reading the Docker file.
Yeah.
Those are the few things that you need to understand just to be little thorough on end-to-end by knowing the end-to-end process from development till deployment.
Okay.
Right?
And any
So what are-
algorithms we need to consider?
Not needed. Just understand what are the various algorithms that are being used in the encryption and tokenization. If you take an example of encryption, AES-256 and RCA, some of the algorithms will be used. And in the market, what are the latest encryption algorithms that are being used in various products? That is something that you need to understand. If you take an example of AWS Key Vault, right? I mean, key management service. There also you can create a key. What is the key material in that key? What kind of algorithm that is being used in that key? Those are some basics that you need to know, but you don't need to write anything. If you know all these things, you can create your own cloud, saying Abdul Cloud or something like Alibaba, right? So don't worry, don't get into too much.
Yes.
Rajesh, last question. Sorry,
Yeah,
this is like topic, right? So after the class, right? How many years are we putting on our resume? Because I know in the US here, you need to have a lot of experience.
What are you doing currently, Princey?
Is that?
No, what exactly you're doing currently? I mean, what are you working on currently? Are you a student?
Currently, I'm working on SAP.
SAP. What is the
SAP.
specialization in SAP?
FICO.
My suggestion to you is like put 4 to 5 years, not more than that.
And one question regarding this, Rajesh, one more. My role currently, I'm a curator admin. So
you're
can
into
I?
SOC, huh?
Yes.
Okay, IBM
But
curator.
my but my most of the work on tool only, like tool related activities. So can I directly switch to cloud security, or do I need to do some certification?
I'll tell you one thing. Sukrit, correct me, I'm wrong here. See, the problem with most of the people who want to switch to cloud, they are under impression that they should know everything under cloud security. And they will work on each and every aspect of cloud security. Definitely not. See, even if you get a job, right, you will be restricted to 1 or 2 security services in the cloud for at least a year or two. Until unless you are an architect or you have a 10, 12 years of experience where you need to take care of all the security aspects. But initially, what will happen is like your job roles, even during the interview, they will ask a lot of questions. But once you join the job, right, you will be restricted to 1 or 2 things, 3 or 4 things. Nobody have more than 40 hours per day, right? So don't get into that circle that you should be 100% sure with everything, but you should know the basics. You should convince them during the interview with a little bit of use cases and everything. But once you join the organization, you won't be taking care of all the services in the AWS or Azure or GCP, whatever it is. Your scope would be, restricted.
Yes, got it.
Make sense? And you are in SOC world, right? Getting the job for you is not a big deal in cloud security. You can market. See, it's only how you market yourself, how you present yourself in interview. Once that is done, after that, obviously, you will work, right? By hook or crook. Once you get into the project, you will work.
Yes. That was only my doubt.
I think as long as you can justify in the 1 hour interview that what you have written on the resume is what you know. No one really cares what really have you done in the past. I mean, Prince is working on SAP. Tomorrow, if he's able to justify in the interview that I know security, no one really cares what he has done in the past. I mean, if you talk about me, I have switched technologies so many times. It is very easy to switch technologies in IT till the time you are serious about doing your job correctly and ethically. Number one. Number two, you are able to justify in the interview. That's it.
I'll tell you my experience as well, right? If you have like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, sure.
So prior to the current job, that wherever I was working, I used to do the cloud security for cloud migration and everything. But when I joined the recent company 2.5 years, current company 2.5 years before, they asked me all the questions on cloud security. Okay. and and I explained and everything and all the stuff. And then at the last, my boss asked me, I have 2 roles here. One is for cloud security and one is for DevSecOps. Which one you choose? That's what he asked me. So then I said,
See,
then
look
I
at that.
then I was like, I was surprised why this guy kind of ate my brain for 1.5 hours, because that interview went up to 1.5 hours because I have the startup experience and he asked me all those questions. And there was a small good conversation in the middle. So finally, then I said, okay, boss, I have been working on this cloud security and everything. This DevSecOps is something seems to be new for me. Let me get into there. That's what I opted, and I opted that DevSecOps. Then that's where he said, if you say cloud security, I would have rejected you, but if you say DevSecOps, that's why I'm taking you. That's what he said.
Oh gosh, yeah. The reason is there are very little DevSecOps people out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number one is that. Number two, for DevSecOps, you really need to know cloud security at least. So Rajesh, you knew cloud security. That's the reason he gave you that chance to look at DevSecOps. And it's a good decision.
That is correct. That is correct. And second thing, he said that if you would have say, I will look into cloud security, I will throw you out. That's what he told me clearly. Then I asked him why. Because you have been working on cloud security. Then what is the point of again coming to new company and working on cloud security again?
Yeah.
Correct. Look for
in a way,
something
he's a
else.
good guy. Anyway, he's a good guy, and he gave me a new opportunity to learn. So it completely depends, Abdul. It completely depends. So this is my experience. Whatever Sukrit mentioned, that was his experience. So different people will have different experiences. But I'll tell you one thing: never ever think that you don't know anything. You are under impression that you know everything. If you don't know, you can learn. That is something that positive attitude is there, right? You can learn anything and you can implement anything.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
And nobody knows 100%. Just keep that in mind.
Yes.
100%. Trust me, no
100%.
one knows
Even
more than 70%.
vendors don't know 100% about their product.
I mean, to be honest, I got selected in Palo Alto Networks in the TAC. Palo Alto Networks TAC is more tough to crack than Cisco TAC, to be honest. Right? I got selected for Palo Alto TAC, and I had very little experience in Palo Alto. It was just that I was able to. He gave me the same questions that I prepared or I knew about. And I was able to justify in the interview that I'm a great Palo Alto guy, which I am, but I'm not 100% there. For TAC, you need to have more knowledge. I did not join that company, but yeah, it's really about the right timing. You just be at the right place at the right time. You get hired, you get good package. That's all. Continue.
Yes, that's true.
All right, I guess too
All
much.
right, guys.
Yes. Today
Not an
we
issue.
can wind up.
All right, thank you,
Thanks.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice
Thank
one.
you.
Bye.
Thank you all.